Hello, Connecticut and surrounding states. I feel as though I will represent New England if I become senator, since there's only one Republican senator in all of New England. But what I want to do is compare, the inauguration of George Washington to the statements made concerning Hunter Biden. So, I also hope to address President Kamala Harris and her role as a prosecutor, which is disturbing. But people are asking me why I'm running, and Lee Elsey asked me this week to prepare something for him. So what I'm going to do is shift gears in my campaign to try to answer every question raised, and I appreciate your time and effort because you need to know about me. I had an interview with Emily Munson at Hearst. I am not hopeful that that will be fruitful. But we did the Rayla Campbell show last week. Next week we're doing another radio show. And we're going to reach out in different medias to try to do different things. But let's focus first on the inauguration of George Washington, which I have in my hand. I have his speech. Not to take credit for what he wrote, but he wrote this while retreating, and it pained him that he would have to, out of the love of his country, he was called to run for the presidency, and he felt he had a public summons, internal, and a calling, as I do, guided by an invisible hand, which, for the most part, most Americans don't recognize or feel its presence. They can't really commit to it. And we're running away from religion. We're running away from integrity and virtues of any kind. It appears that, Catholic Church, other churches are under attack. There's a swell for Islam. But if you read his statements, it's ionized, it's charging, it's fantastic. He has an ardent love for the country. He's torn. He has a lot of views. And he addresses the problems in the House of Representatives, which is coming up, and we have more problems in the House of Representatives than you can count. So, now I'd like to compare his reason for running for president to Joe Biden's, which is in this hand. First of all, Hunter was let go from the Navy having tested positive for cocaine. So, this whole talk about Burisma is troubling because we can't have a president. We're not going to have a president that did what he did. Can I read a quote? Well, Biden was in charge of Ukraine, and then on December 15th, 2015, Joe Biden went back to Ukraine and gave a speech to the Ukraine parliament urging the country to step up anti-corruption measures, okay? On his way out, Biden boasted about getting the prosecutor who was supposed to be investigating Burisma fired. Joe Biden recounted the story for an American audience. I'm telling you, the Ukrainians, you're not getting the $1 billion in the U.S. aid. I said, you're not getting the billion. I looked at them and said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor is not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch, he got fired. That's Joe Biden admitting to corruption in his own words on national television. So, John Solomon uncovered this massive scandal. He hit a dead end. It's a powder keg. It's quite interesting what's happening because the Senate is the one that is okay. The Senate is looking the other way, having Richard Blumenthal and Chris Murphy both getting bribed by Burisma. You say, why is Johnny Flynn getting involved? I'd like to see those people go to jail, you know. I would, because if you or I did anything of this nature, it would have been treason. Look what they went after Trump and accused him of what Ukraine did, all within the context of what Biden was doing for Obama, full knowledge of what they did, and multiple conflict of interest questions were raised by quite a few people. And what's interesting is this part, okay, which I haven't talked about yet, but you should listen. Massive protests in Ukraine started in 2013 and 2014. 82 people were killed during one of those protests. Okay? They called that protest Revolution of Dignity. So here we go. Ukraine, which was pressured by Russia, now keep in mind, aiding Ukraine while they're having difficulties with Russia would be in our best interest because we would gain another ally, an important one, overturn a regime that was related to Russia, where Russia was taking over control. They called it the Revolution of Dignity, just like George Washington's Revolution. Oh yes, because he felt there was oppression. He had a love of his country. Go through this report. It's called Hunter Biden, Burisma, and Corruption. Impact on the U.S. government policy and related concerns. You can Google it. I have it in my hand. Here we go. The chairman investigation into potential conflicts of interest began in August 2019 with Grassley's letter to the Department of Treasury regarding conflicts of interest with respect to the Obama administration policy relating to Henning's transactions. Okay? One of the companies involved in the Henning's transaction is a billion-dollar private investment firm called Bohive Harvest. Hunter Biden, the son of Vice President Joe Biden, formed the company with Chris Hines, stepson of former Secretary of State John Kerry. Why do we have to get involved? Because not only is Pelosi's son involved, collecting bribes, John Kerry's son is involved collecting bribes, and I'm not saying that my opponent's son is collecting bribes. Well, not yet, but watch and learn. This case is outlined paragraph by paragraph. In early 2015, the former acting deputy chief mission of the U.S. Embassy Kiev, Ukraine, George Kent, raised concerns about Vice President Joe Biden's office and the perception of conflict of interest. Not that he had a conflict of interest. The mere perception of conflict of interest is enough. But getting checks for $3 million, monthly checks for hundreds of thousands, this calls into questions his integrity. Okay? He has none. He's basically brain dead. And why are we allowing our Senate to overlook transactions of this nature where all their own sons are involved? Now, Blumenthal's son, Matt, is being groomed. Okay, he's a state senator in Connecticut. Where does he live? OxyContin's district. Where does he live? UBS, affiliated with Dominion's district. Who else? Bank America's assistants. The largest money launderer in Fairfield County is Bank America, in my opinion. And Judge Adams is a partner at Kelly Dry, that law firm. 10 attorneys from that law firm have been taking over brokerage firms and stealing the assets. It's a big deal, folks. I can sue everybody, as I've been doing, on and on, but if the judges are corrupt, you won't get a subpoena. Okay? I have 350 lawsuits under my belt, and I've never gotten one. So, not getting a subpoena, not being allowed to play 911 calls, not getting a jury, not getting depositions, not getting interrogatories. I just filed one today on the Stephen Barrier trial. Okay? I wasn't prepared to really talk about it, but this based on this police report, okay? The officer's name is Damian Rosa. I called him today. He rudely hung up on me, of course, because I asked him a question. And it's a question that needs to be answered. I mean, I can tell you what I said. First of all, this police report in my hand, I can read you paragraphs. Basically, I'm concerned about corruption, folks. So it says, Officer Nusira Lee arrived on the scene first and appeared to be the primary officers throughout the entirety of the call for service. Okay, he says, on the above date, I reviewed the body camera footage captured on the incident. Specifically, I reviewed footage of the initial response of the scene. The body camera footage was individually captured by Sergeant Connolly, okay, Officer Nusira, R. Lee, Kisselman, and Kilcoyne. Hold on a second. When I reported the murder, I was told there was no body cam evidence. The cops didn't have their body cams on by none other than Sean Bogger. Sean Bogger's name appears right here. He is the supervisor that signed this police report, who told me to my face no tasers were used, who's screaming, taser, 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 I got him in the back, in the video. Why is the video not mentioned here? The video was shown to our state's attorney, who decided that no misconduct occurred. The video was shown to Pastor Ford of the Tabernacle Church in Stamford, who then showed that to Chief Winneman. Chief Winneman has no comment here. Chief Winneman was shown the evidence of the murder. So was Richard Colangelo. They both determined that no misconduct occurred, and they both destroyed a taser evidence of a murder, which led to a $30 million bribe, which I go into. So when you ask, why is Johnny Flynn getting involved? Well, you know what? I feel I'm getting a George Washington call. I'm having a George Washington moment, having viewed the Biden response. I mean, every paragraph here is important. State Department official Amos Hutchinstein raised concerns about Biden's position on the Burisma board and undermining U.S. policy in Ukraine. Next paragraph. John Kerry's acknowledgement of Biden's role on the board. He asked during a town hall event, I had no knowledge of that, none, no evidence to the contrary. That's not true. Okay, it's right here. A former Assistant Secretary of State for European and Eurasian Affairs, Victoria Nuland, testified that oligarchs would send Vice President Biden's staff advised him to avoid commenting on Zlochevsky and recommended, he said, I'm not going to get into this naming names, okay, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Kent testified that this bribe occurred in December 2014, 7 months after Hunter joined Burisma's board. This is chock full of stuff, folks. Devin Archer received $142,300 from Kangirs Rakyachev of Kazakhstan for a car on the same day that Biden appeared with Ukraine Prime Minister Armsemy Yashnyuk. Hunter Biden received $3.5 million wire transfer from Elena Baturina, the wife of the former mayor of Moscow. So the son of our president is receiving $3 million in bribes from the mayor of Moscow. Hunter Biden had business associates with Yi Jianming, Guangdong, and other Chinese nationals linked to the communist government and the People's Liberation Army. Need I say more? That Biden has a conflict of interest with the United States, having taken money from China. And by the way, if Hunter's managing $1 billion of Chinese pension fund money, then the Bidens have a material conflict of interest to protect China, not the United States. We cannot have him involved in anything, folks. So that's why I made this 15-minute video to describe why I'm getting involved. And the statements of George Washington are pretty much parallel to mine. And the statements of Joe Biden knowingly, quid pro quo, dictating the firing of a prosecutor investigating bribes to his son is a problem. So, I believe that Biden really is just signing everything he's told to sign. I believe he's being extorted due to the bribery. I think there are facts coming out about Hunter Biden's, if you read other literature, he's involved in pornography, child pornography, possibly human trafficking, possibly other things. Who knows? But Biden knows. Oh yeah, and he denied it. So, I'm telling you now, this corruption goes straight to Richard Blumenthal, who brought Comey from Connecticut's Hartford FBI office down to falsify the Hillary investigation, to falsify the Ukraine investigation, to falsify the Russian collusion story. He is material in the attempts to, while taking bribes, material in the attempt to impeach Trump based on a ragtag set of facts without witnesses, without an opportunity to defend himself. I wish that we could get to the bottom of this, but it seems that there's no end in sight, and I need to keep this at 17 minutes where I'm at. So I thank you for your support. I'm starting to get some checks, and I really need quite a few checks. I need pretty much $5 from everyone in the state to even launch an adequate campaign. I can do it on next to no money, and I've gotten this far on next to no money, but we're going to have to spend money on Hartford, New Haven, Bridgeport, Waterbury, and possibly 6 other towns, or we will not prevail. And we question the past elections, and we're trying to get the Lindell information on Connecticut and the hack that he has observed. And I'm going to CPAC next week with Rayla Campbell running against Presley, and we're working on setting up a PAC with Massachusetts, if we can, because we can't do this without a PAC. We can't pull all these strings together on a budget of nothing. So, if anyone could possibly send us a few bucks, even monthly, and track the campaign. I hate to fall down and pay for everything out of pocket as I go, which has been occurring. I can't be expected to pay the entire cost of fixing Connecticut. I'm willing to take it as far as I am, and I'm told that our efforts to get Richard Colangelo arrested for bribery are doing quite well. However, we were promised an arrest by Labor Day, or soon after Labor Day. That money has now been divvied up to the NAACP and others, Black Lives Matter even, and the executive orders of Tong, paid by Tong from Lamont, greatly concern me, and we need to have them investigated too, because you can't pay cops to destroy evidence, as I just described, that Sean Bogger at the Stanford Police Department is doing. Okay? He's denying us police reports, evidence of other kinds, taser evidence, body cam evidence, and the body cam evidence that was staged 4 hours after the murder should put him in jail for a very long time. Unfortunately, everyone else seems to be getting off on probation. If the black community really cares about black lives, Okay? I believe in Stephen Barrier's life mattering. Okay? I don't believe in Black Lives Matter extortion of municipalities for kickbacks, which is what's happening in Connecticut. But I do believe literally that Black Lives Matter, every life matters. I do not believe that this Black Lives Matter organization, funded by these three women who are collecting massive amounts of money from Cisco, every corporation in the country is giving them money practically, and the support of Antifa is a problem, because we just saw a riot at the Capitol where they didn't go after Antifa, they didn't go after Black Lives Matter, they went after people who think the election was rigged. And I'm one of those people, folks. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, okay? But I thank you again, and I appreciate it. I'm at 21 minutes. Obviously, no one's going to watch this. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Have a great day.